Welcome to another rendition of Kingdom's Evolution. I took a shower and made myself look all pretty just for you. So I hope everybody's having a great Friday. It's about 0 degrees out here. And got hit the other day with a story that just somebody corrected somebody, and when they corrected them, they just look so silly. And I'm just like, deja vu, deja vu. It's happened to me a couple times. And of course, I forget all about it as quick as I can. When somebody makes you look stupid, you kind of like put that in the delete file of your memory. So it's never happened to me that I can remember, but I do remember a couple of times where people have tried to make me look stupid, and it's just it's not that I'm a brain, but when you try to make other people look stupid, you generally look pretty stupid yourself, right? I mean, that's just how it rolls. It rolls out. I had today we're gonna have some fun stories. Today we're gonna reminisce. I asked my wife what my topic should be today about 15 minutes before the show because I had no idea what I wanted to talk about. Because the name of the show is Kingdom's Evolution, so we can't just talk crap all the time. Sometimes we just gotta tell some fun stories about how beautiful life is and just how fun life is and how God has this tremendous sense of humor. So I want to talk. So I owned a bar. I owned a bar called Pat's Bar and Grill. We called it Pat's Bar and Grill, named after Patrick Connolly down by the big turtles that one a great St. Louisan was so kind. And I can't think of her name. Steinberg. I'll try to think of her name before the end of the show. But she created these great concrete turtles, Turtle Park, down by Pat's Bar and Grill, right across from the zoo in St. Louis. If you ever come to St. Louis, you should go see the turtles. They're a lot of fun. Bring your kids. A lot of fun. But that's where Pat's Bar and Grill is. I owned it for 14 years. 14 years we did everything we could, but we took a lot of hits. They closed an entrance ramp. Did they close the highway? Close my exit ramp? I mean, they stopped allowing smoking, and it was a smoker's bar. They just did everything. It became more and more difficult to try to make money, and then the crime, the breaking into windows of the cars down there, it just became very difficult business. Really, it did. And so, God showed me the way. We burnt down our house. God didn't burn down our house, but our house burnt down and showed me another path out, helping people after fires. So that's what I've done for the past decade. But while I owned Pat's for 14 years, we had so much fun. It was a lot of fun running Pat's, especially at the beginning. In the middle, it was fun. At the end, it got working for losing money is never any fun. You work hard and your bank account's less than it was before you worked hard. It's not a good place to be. And that's where I was. So today, we're just going to share a few fun stories. So at running Pat's, have to have waitresses. And I had a very beautiful young girl that worked for me. She didn't have, when she wanted to, she could look beautiful. When she took the time, she could look knock down, drag out, beautiful. But when she came into Pat's to wait tables, she would dress down, and I mean dress down. Like, wow. And as an owner, as a guy, you can only say so much. It's just like, could you not wear sweatpants with pink on the back of them? It's like, oh man, come on. At least make a little effort to come in here and look nice. You're a beautiful girl. But in her process of dressing down, she wouldn't do anything to her hair. She'd put it in what's called a TopNot. And I don't know, I haven't seen a whole lot of them, but she had really, really long hair. And she would put this top. So this TopNot would extend like a foot above her head. I mean, it would be like she'd be here and her top, the end of her TopNot would be up here. Literally, they take their long hair, And you know how like you tie your shoes? You put one end through the other and then tie it? That'd be what she would do with her hair. And so I started calling her TK. Um, and she didn't understand why I was calling her TK. And one day I said something. I said, "Come on, TK," or something like that. Or I referred to her as talking to somebody else. I was like, and she's like, "Why are you calling me TK?" And I'm like, "I'm calling you TK because I hate your top knot. Because I'm calling you top knot because I don't want you to. You've got beautiful hair, and you twist it in this knot on top of your head, and it makes you look silly. It is not. It is not attractive at all." And she goes, "That's not what it means. If that's what it meant, you'd call me TN." And it was there was a moment there. And she says, "Oh, I said that," or like, "Well, why don't you call me TN then? You know, it means something else." And it was like, I didn't know, like, there was a moment there where it was just like, there are very few people in the world that don't know that a knot, that a knot is spelt with a silent K. And it was one of those that really struck me, just like, and she went to private, she went to Catholic high school. Catholic high school. Didn't know that not began with a K. There's not a lot of words in the English language that have silent letters that begin with a silent letter. There's a few, but not a ton. But come on, Catholic education. We got it. People pay a lot of money to go to a Catholic education. we gotta be able to do better than that. So that was one of my fun stories, where you just kind of realize, like, oh man, it's like there's it's an education level, right? It's not that she's unintelligent. It's she literally didn't know that the word not began with a silent K. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other people out there that don't know that. Get it? Silent K. Like, there's probably 10 words that start with a silent K. But you come to the point where you don't even think about it anymore. It's just you're taught it, you learn it, you know it, and you live your life accordingly. But maybe since not and not sound the same, as opposed to no and now, it was funny. It was a funny moment. So I've got a few other funny stories that, and I may remember all of them, may not remember some of them. One of my funnier stories was we had a great gentleman by the name of Monrico Baker that worked for us in the kitchen. And so he'd worked for me for like 10 years, for me for a long time. So he finally started calling me brother. He's like, "Come on, brother." And I was like, "Oh man." And I was like, I mean, he was black, but he was a friend, a great friend. I just saw him as probably the hardest working men I know, I've ever met. He worked 2 jobs, and it was all about who he was. He liked to work, didn't like to drink, had a few beautiful children, had a beautiful wife. I think it was his second or third wife, but she was beautiful, fun, very nice. And she, she's still out there. I don't talk to her. I don't own the bar anymore, so I don't interact with I don't drink anymore either, so I don't interact with a ton of people that I used to interact with on a daily basis. But so one day he just called me. It was like the first time that he'd ever called me bro. So I was like, "I'm in, man. I'm in." And then he turned to one of the other cooks in our kitchen, who was also black, and called him cuz. And I'm like, wait a minute, man. I just made the bro club, and now you've changed the bro club to cuz club. It's pretty funny. It's like, oh man, just when I made the bro club, they changed the club, kind of like a network marketing, shared marketing. You finally make the club, and they change the club, man. You're not in the club. They just want you to feel. They want you to think you're in the club. And that's not all network marketing. I didn't mean to slam network marketing like that, but it's kind of what happens when you're in sales. When you make, the sales club, and you're gonna get so much of a bonus, and all of a sudden, well, you would have made the sales club, but we've changed the club. It's now the ultra sales club, and you're not quite there. I'm sure we've all experienced that when we think we're in, but we're just not quite in. All right. The favorite story, and this one might take a while, but this is like my favorite, probably the favorite all-time Pat story, because it involved the whole bar, and everybody was there, and it was a delightful story of people who hang out at a bar too much. So in Dogtown, there's a few bars. There's another bar. There's Pat's Bar and Grill, which is right by the zoo. And then probably the oldest bar in Dogtown is a bar called Seamus McDaniel's. And this is probably 30 years ago. Oh my gosh, I'm old. So at Seamus McDaniel's, they had a savant named Andy who worked in the kitchen, did dishes, cooked, did whatever they needed. He was kind of like a kitchen handyman. When you have a big restaurant, and Seamus was a lot bigger than Pat's, but when you have a big restaurant, you just sometimes need somebody to wash dishes, sometimes you need somebody to make salad. You just need somebody that can run around and do whatever you need them to do when you're super busy. And that's what Andy was. So whatever you would ask Andy to do, Andy would do it for you. You needed to ask Andy to stay another shift, wash dishes. Andy was there, wash dishes. Andy was 100% one of the nicest people I've ever met. Not a mean bone in the guy's body, but he was a savant. So my wife and I watch a show about a savant that helps the police. She's not really a savant. She's got a very, very high IQ, but what is it? Oh my gosh, Joe Finn. I just thought of it. Higher cause or higher purpose, or I forget the name of the show, but it starts with higher. But an actress I really like is in the show. It's on Netflix, but she's got a super high IQ, and she helps the police solve crimes. And it's a fun show. Higher intelligence, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to figure out what. Maybe my wife will watch the show, and I'll think of it before the end of the show. Obviously, one of us misses the higher intelligence part. Back to Andy. So he's a savant, a true savant. You could ask him pretty much anything, and he would know the answer. And I don't know whether he read when he wasn't drinking or what he did when he wasn't drinking, but the man, his IQ, his intelligence level was off the chart. But he liked to drink. Hence why he worked at Seamus McDaniel's and didn't run a hedge fund. And probably had something to do with his education level. Perhaps his family didn't recognize his talent early on in life, and he didn't have a mentor. No one else saw just how brilliant this guy was, because he probably was. He didn't look like a savant. Like if a savant has a look, it wasn't Andy. He was of smaller build, not that tall, and maybe people mistook his physical nature for his intelligence level, and that was a huge mistake, because he could have, I don't want to say he could have been so much more, because he was brilliant as he was, but from a human productivity and helping humanity build, he had gotten lost in a bottle. And so his way of helping humanity whilst being lost in a bottle was working at Seamus McDaniel's. Okay? It is what it is sometimes. Sometimes that's where life brings you. but he was always very, very nice. So I was bartending one night at Pat's, and we had a crew. We had a crew, the Dogtown crew at Pat's, probably 15 guys at the bar, full restaurant, but pretty much everybody knew everybody. And I don't mean like everybody that was in there knew everybody in there, but we all acted like we knew everybody in there. And it was very communal. But everybody at the bar knew everybody. So Andy was in drinking, and he was drunk. So Andy didn't always get drunk. Well, I shouldn't say that. Andy always got drunk. Sometimes at Pat, sometimes at other places. But my guess is wherever he was, at some point in time during the course of a day, Andy was drunk. And I mean drunk. But at this particular point in time of the day, it was still relatively early. It's probably 6:37. And he wasn't like always with us, so he was kind of a celebrity when he would come in because we all knew he was a savant. We all knew he worked at Seamus, and we were happy to see him because he was a great spirit. So we're all sitting at the bar. You know what? I was bartending. So Andy comes in. Andy sits down at the bar and orders a drink. And so I give him a drink, and he is toast, dude. He is not sober. His eyes are rolling. His body's kind of swaying back and forth, and I'm like, so he drinks that because I didn't actually realize how drunk he was when he first came in. So I'm like, Andy, I can't serve you anymore. And everybody's like, whoa, that's not good. That's not good. You can't cutting people off in Dogtown. You got to fully understand, cutting somebody off in Dogtown was like a character assassination. It's pretty funny because everybody in Dogtown, like to drink, and telling somebody that they're so drunk that they can't drink anymore was an affront. That was an affront to their manliness, to their womanliness, to all sorts of things. It was like the worst thing you could do to somebody in Dogtown is cut them off. And you knew it, and you knew as a bar owner, whoa, I would not let my girl bartenders cut somebody off. Wouldn't let them do it. Would not let them cut a guy off at the bar. They had to call me. They had to find me. And I would come down to the bar, and I would cut them off. They were not allowed. So I was 24/7 on that. They were not allowed to cut somebody off because when a girl bartender cuts off a guy bartender, it is like it's emasculating. And they're drunk, obviously, because otherwise she wouldn't be cutting him off. So you've just emasculated a drunk guy. It's not, there's no reasoning. There's no reasoning with somebody that's been drinking, right? So it's not like, well, I can't serve you because I'll go to jail if you kill somebody. A guy has to do it. A guy absolutely has to do it. And even a guy has to be relational. You got to know, don't touch somebody. When you're talking to a drunk, you never touch them. Do not touch them. Just don't touch them. Don't touch them any way, shape, or form. Even in kindness, even to push them out the door. Don't do it. Just don't do it. So there's certain, you learn a lot. That's not just the 14 years that I owned Pat's, but I bartended there a couple years before, and I drank there a decade before. So Pat's was my home away from home. Actually, it's probably closer to my home. Spent more time there than really I did at home. Papa Joe Jovanovich would serve me coffee in the morning. Paul Jovanovich, his son, would go play golf with Paul. So it wasn't just the happy hour crowd. Pat's was my love of life. Anyway, back to the Andy story. So I'm behind the bar. Andy comes in. Andy, it's kind of like cheers. Hey, Andy, come on in. Andy's there. Cut him off. It starts raining outside. So I was just thinking to myself, well, how did I have a full restaurant if it's raining outside? Well, it starts raining. It starts raining while the restaurant's full. And we're all there, and Andy's there, and Andy, I can't serve you anymore. You're drunk, and he's like, oh, like, come on, one more, I can do one more, come on. And I'm like, no, I can't serve you. He's not stopping. He's not stopping asking me to serve him one more drink. And so I'm like, Andy, I'll tell you what I'll do. If you will eat dinner, if you'll eat some food, if you'll sit here and let me buy you dinner, and I'm pretty sure I bought it for him, but he may have paid for it. I don't remember. But I said, if you eat dinner, if you will just take the time to eat something, after you get done eating, we'll get you drinks. And so my memory's not the greatest. So it may have been that he came down and he'd ordered meatloaf, or I said he had to eat meatloaf, or whatever. But what ends up happening, because I don't want to it ends up happening that he's got a meatloaf dinner, and he's got it to go. So he doesn't want to sit down. He doesn't want to eat it at the bar. He's gonna take it home. And maybe it was he ordered a meatloaf dinner. And I said, Andy, eat your meatloaf dinner, and then come back. And after you eat your meatloaf dinner and you come back, if you're okay, I'll serve you another drink. And he's like, okay, all right. So everybody in the whole bar, like this is the whole bar. It's not stopped, but everybody in the entire bar. It's only like 1,000 square feet, but everybody. It's a small bar. Everybody in the entire bar is one way or another is aware of what's occurring at the bar with the guy that's too drunk. It's hard not to notice it. And we're all having fun. We're all drinking. It's not like we stopped drinking. It's Andy that had to stop drinking. He was drunk. So we're all still drinking. And Andy leaves. He takes his slurring his words. Can't, he's disappointed. He's almost like he's dejected. His head's down. He's not crying, but you can tell this guy, by not serving any more liquor, like he has been he has been brought low. He has been brought low, and you almost feel sorry for him until you see him, starting to walk, and he's going side to side, and it's kind of like you feel bad. I feel bad that I've cut him off, but I also know one more drink and he's not going to be able to stand up anymore. So I'm like, I can't serve him any more alcohol. He can barely stand up. So he leaves, and it starts to rain. So it starts to rain, and I mean, it's not a complete 100% downpour yet, but it's raining outside. So he leaves, and he's got his meatloaf sandwich, meatloaf plate with him, mashed potatoes, green beans, gravy, great gravy. Oh my gosh, missed that. And he leaves, and we're all sitting at the bar thinking, he's coming back. He's coming back. And the bets at the bar were like, he'll come back and he won't remember he was here at all. He'll come back and just ask for a drink, and like he won't remember that he was ever here. Like, no. We left an impression on him with cutting him off. He's gonna come back, know he was here, and just ask again to serve him again. Like, yeah, he might do that. And so kind of like friendly wagers are being placed at the bar, and it starts downpouring. I mean, the rain outside turns into an absolute downpour. Just, nobody's leaving the bar now. Like, nobody's leaving the bar. And we're all kind of thinking, like, shit, because Andy walks. Like, we just sent Andy out of that downpour. We're kind of feeling bad. Like, well, we hope he made it home. So we're all talking, and then the door opens. And Andy comes back in. And he's pretty wet. And it's only been maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So 10 minutes. Everybody knows, like 10 minutes, like that wasn't enough time to eat the meatloaf. That wasn't enough time to eat the meatloaf sandwich. The meatloaf was just styrofoam covered, and so he comes back in, and we're all like, "Oh no, here we go again. It's gonna be the same process. Telling him he can't have any more to drink." So he comes back in. Door opens. You can hear the rain outside. Comes back in. Everybody at the bar. It's even louder now. It's kind of like cheering him back in, but it's kind of like it's not a full on cheering to see Andy. It's like, oh man, it's coming. But everybody acknowledges that he's back in. And there was a bartender behind the bar, and I'm behind the bar with her, and we're just kind of looking at each other like, no, we're not serving him any more alcohol. And so I'm like, Andy. And so he comes back in and goes, I want a drink. And I'm like, Andy, you just left like 5 minutes ago with a meatloaf dinner. It's like, where's your, I'm just kind of ignoring the whole drink thing, just ignoring it. Like, where's your meatloaf dinner? He's like, I want another drink. It's like, well, where's your meatloaf dinner? I want another drink. Where's your meatloaf dinner? It's like, then so finally it got through to him. Like, I'm asking where his meatloaf dinner is. And he's thinking, I had a meatloaf dinner. Did I have a meatloaf dinner? And so his eye contact is Andy's, because of his whatever. It wasn't a disability, but because of the way it was, his eye, maybe being drunk, his eye contact wasn't always the greatest. So finally it dawns on him that I'm asking him where his meatloaf dinner is, and it finally comes to him that he had a meatloaf dinner. That he had just had a meatloaf dinner, and he looks at me. He's like, "I'm like, did you eat your meatloaf dinner? Because that was awful fast to eat your meatloaf dinner, Andy." And he's like, "No, I didn't eat it." I was like, "Well, do you remember what you did with your meatloaf dinner? I mean, if you didn't eat your meatloaf dinner, you had a meatloaf dinner when you left here like 5 minutes ago. Do you know where your meatloaf dinner is?" And he's looking around going, "I don't know." I was like, but I want. He's like, but I want a drink. Like, I can't serve you any more alcohol. I can't serve you any more alcohol. It's like, but he's just asking over and over. And everybody at the bar is kind of like, look at this scene going down, just like, they're glad it's not them telling Andy he can't have a drink, and I'm unhappy that it's me telling him he can't have a drink because it's making him very sad. And so finally, I'm like, okay, Andy, here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do. If you can find your meatloaf dinner, if you can find your meatloaf dinner, I will serve you another drink. If you find your meatloaf dinner, bring it back in, I'll serve you another drink. So Andy looks at me and he's like, really? And I'm like, 100%. 100%. You find that meatloaf dinner, and I will serve you another drink. And he's like, I'll find that meatloaf dinner. He has no, he has no idea that he ever had a meatloaf dinner, like what he did with the meatloaf dinner. But he now is on like a quest, right? And he leaves in the rain. It's still bad. The rain is not good outside. And I may be mixing up my timing on the rain, but it's been a long time, so bear with me. So it may not have been raining so hard when he left, but because it was shocking what happens next. So everybody in the whole bar now is involved in this meatloaf dinner. Everybody heard the conversation. They're all aware of what's going on. Andy's on a quest to find his meatloaf dinner, and the quest is for another drink. The reward, the treasure at the end of this quest is not only does he find his meatloaf dinner, which he obviously doesn't give a shit about because he didn't eat it. He wasn't going to eat his meatloaf dinner for another drink. And those of us that appreciate alcoholism understand how brutal that disease is. It is a wicked, wicked disease. But it is what it is. So 5 minutes go by, and it's like everybody in the bar is like, he's not coming back, man. He's not coming back. And the torrential rain's going on. And he's like, he's not coming back. And some people say, oh, he's coming back, but he'll come back without the meatloaf dinner, and he'll just want another drink. And then maybe 15 minutes go by. So he's gone. 15 minutes later, Andy comes back in the bar. And he is holding his plastic bag and he is drenched, dude. He is a wet rat times 5. and he's kind of, I say that, but he's kind of got a shorter stature and longer hair, and I mean it's he's holding this, he's holding the like you would hold somebody's head in victory after you cut it off. Like he's holding it up here like a trophy, like he has just slayed the dragon, like a dragon's head, like he has just slayed the dragon. He comes back in, he is triumphant, he is happy, he is overjoyed. It was, I don't want to say it was one of the greatest moments of his life, but he had accomplished the impossible. And the whole bar, Pat's Bar and Grill, erupts in cheer. I think people were standing up, cheering. I'm not saying they got on their chairs, but the whole bar is cheering and screaming that Andy found his meatloaf dinner, and he's got it up there over his head as he walks through the door. It's one of the most iconic. If I could have taken a picture of, if I could draw you a picture of a full bar, pouring rain outside, and this guy comes walking the bar drenched from head to toe, and he's got this plastic to-go bag with a styrofoam container inside it, and he's hanging over his head like he just won like he just won the marathon, like he just conquered the world, won the Super Bowl. He is overjoyed at his triumph, and the whole bar is cheering. The whole bar is screaming, drink, drink, drink. The whole bar, I don't even know what they were cheering, but it was just, everybody was happy for Andy that he had found his meatloaf dinner, and everybody knew, like I had said, once Andy found his meatloaf dinner, I was going to serve him another drink. So it's like, oh shit, I got to serve this guy another drink. So anyway, I watered down the crap out of whatever he was drinking, bourbon, vodka, it didn't matter. I mean, it was 99% water. I mean, there was enough alcohol in it to taste it, but not enough alcohol in it to do anything to anybody. And he puts, he slams the meatloaf. He didn't really slam it because it's meatloaf, but he puts the bag on the bar, and he's like, I found the meatloaf, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Andy, congratulations. What are you drinking? What can you say? What are you drinking? What are you having? And he told me, and I made, 99% water. He didn't know the difference because he was so drunk. He was still just wasted. Put it on the bar. It's like, congratulations. It's great. It's like, where'd you end up finding the meatloaf dinner? He's like, well, I had thrown it away. It's like, he threw it away. He's like, yeah, I threw it in the dumpster. And I'm like, oh no. He had gone in the dumpster in the middle of this rainstorm to get his meatloaf out of the dumpster. And dumpsters are not good in any circumstance, but I'm guessing the only dumpster he had access to was our dumpster, which is a restaurant dumpster, which are just disgusting. Like, we throw everything in that dumpster. It's not good. So I'm like, oh, Andy, you got it, you got in, got it out. It's, great job. Here's your drink, and he's drinking. Everybody in the whole bar is kind of, they start going on about their business because Andy's got his drink now. The scene is kind of calmed down a little bit, and everybody's going on to their own little conversations in their own life. And I'm here with Andy because he's my hero right now. He is my absolute hero, because you don't see that kind of that iteration of joy, that completeness of happiness often in life. You don't, like, you see it when your wife delivers your firstborn. You see it when you win a championship. But most of us, those alliterations of utter joy are so few and far between. Too few and far between, to be honest with you, because it's a great feeling and you memorize, but we don't make them happen, right? They happen for us. They happen for us. We don't make them happen, because you can't make yourself feel that. They happen for us from God. Because we're made in the image of God, we can experience these joys because we are the image of God. Anyway, so I just had to ask him. I was like, Andy. So I'm asking. He's sitting at the bar, and I think he's standing because I don't think he can sit down on a bar stool. He's still a little wobbly. And I'm like, Andy, you wandered around in the rain, trying to remember, where you put your meatloaf dinner, and you weren't sure, where you put it or did this or did that with it. When you found, in that dumpster, and you find your meatloaf dinner, what are you thinking? And he looks at me, and he's still drunk, and he puts his arm. I don't know if he put his arm up, but he looks at me, and he just goes. I think he just made a fist, and he goes, "Fucking euphoria." And he didn't say it quite like that. He kind of screamed it, "Fucking euphoria," just like drunk, still drunk. But that's what he felt. That's where he was. That's what he felt. And fucking euphoria. And we get to experience so few times in life. Enjoy it when you do. And that's my favorite Pat story. And so I'm going to go downhill from here. I've got the TopNot story, the fucking euphoria. So we'll take a break now. And I want to talk about what do I want to talk about? I don't want to talk about the 4 monkeys and a goat. We're going to take a break on the 4 monkeys and a goat. We're going to take a break about the PSYOPs, because my last 2 shows have been about the PSYOPs that we're all under every day. We're not going to talk about Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're not going to talk about Islam. So I'm kind of doing a downgrade on what my show's not going to be about. We're going to keep the show light. But the show is called Kingdom's Evolution. And that's where we want to evolve the show to, so that all of us, without the curse word, can feel that euphoria, that joy that it is to be the image of God. Because rocks don't feel it, dolphins don't feel it, bears don't feel it, dogs maybe feel it. I don't know. Dogs maybe, when they get a treat or something, or you've been gone a long time. But we're going to talk about the human nature, the godly nature of man, and that maybe there's some other places where we can bring heaven to earth, because that's what Kingdom's Evolution is all about. And let's try to find some places in our world, in our friends' world, where we can bring that euphoria, that joy of joys into our world and experience it and remember it and use that to bring God's kingdom closer to earth. All right, let's. So that'll be the rest of the show. Very positive. So I know a lot of you are probably tuning out now, going, "Positive, Joe? Wait a minute, you're not going to scream and rant about something?" It's like, no, we're going to be positive. We're going to talk about euphoria, without drugs, without alcohol. You wouldn't have to have any water, would you?
There's mosquitoes on the river, fish are rising up like birds. It's been hot for 7 weeks now, too hot to even speak now. Did you hear what I just heard? Say it might have been the fiddle, or it could have been the wind, but there seems to be a beat now. I can feel it in my feet now. Listen, here it comes again.